And in this next news story, 4 men have been jailed after a Nottingham student was frogmarched into an alleyway and robbed during a terrifying ordeal lasting around 40 minutes. In the early hours of Tuesday, the 18th of April, 2023, a 19-year-old student was grabbed by 3 masked robbers on the Wellington Street in Nottingham city centre. The student was dragged into an alleyway where the robbers closed the gate and prevented him from getting away. They took the student's iPhone 6 and made him hand over his passcodes before accessing the victim's banking app and transferring around £1,500 into another account. The robbers then fled the scene, keeping the student's mobile phone. Police investigation was launched and CCTV inquiries identified 3 suspects. They were tracked to an eatery in Hockley where one of them made a bank card transaction. Financial checks enabled detectives to identify Oliver Sapuanov as one of the 3 robbers, with further inquiries finding he was one of the 3 directors at a company set up 2 months before the robbery. The 2 other directors were Akil Hussain and Sefa Duzgan, who had previously attended a Luton college with Sapuanov, whose appearance matched those in the CCTV images of the robbery suspects. After some extensive inquiries, a number of warrants were completed, and this resulted in Nottinghamshire police securing a plethora of evidence along with a large amounts of cash. Detectives first executed a warrant at Sapunov's address and discovered the victim's iPhone in a bedroom. He was subsequently arrested on suspicion of robbery and money laundering. Hussain was also arrested during a warrant, with Duzgan handing himself in. A 4th person, Adil Din, was arrested on suspicion of money laundering, and bank inquiries linked him to the criminal enterprise. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Hussain, Duzgan and Din entered guilty pleas to multiple offences at Nottingham Crown Court, while Sapunov took the risk and thought, I'm going to take this to trial. But he was found guilty by a jury. At the sentencing hearings today, a victim impact statement was read out on behalf of the student, who the court heard had been frog-marched into the alleyway. He said, I truly believe that they have no idea of the impact that their actions have had on me. The defendants attacked me from behind like cowards. They took away my liberty, taking me off the streets against my will. Like a prisoner, they held me against my will and then stole what I had on me, my money, my phone. Throughout the whole incident, I was put in fear as they had face coverings on, and I genuinely felt at the mercy of thoughts I would get physically hurt had I tried to struggle or not have property they could steal. I still feel very uncomfortable walking home alone, and I'm wary about who's around me at night, and these feelings do not go away, and this is all because of the actions of these cowards. Before passing sentence, Judge Michael Lorty said the robbery had been meticulously planned and instilled real terror into the victim. The judge added he was inevitably terrified, and he, no doubt wisely compliant, he complied with them, having discovered just how far his 3 attackers were prepared to go. The reality is, when faced with 3 disguised men, prepared as they were and issuing threats in those circumstances, only a fool would have resisted. So the sentencings are as follows. Olivia Sapuanov, who's 23 and Nottingham, found guilty of kidnap, false imprisonment, robbery and money laundering, and he's got jailed for 6 years. Akil Hussain of Luton pleaded guilty to kidnap, false imprisonment, robbery and money laundering. He got jailed for 5 years and 3 months. Sefa Duzgan, he pleaded guilty to kidnap, false imprisonment, robbery and money laundering, got jailed for 5 years and 3 months. And then you got Adil Din, pleaded guilty to money laundering, got jailed for 18 months. Following the sentencing, Detective Constable John Hollis, who had commended in court by the judge for their high caliber and real skill in the investigation, said the victim in this case was subjected to a horrific crime. The defendants pursued a victim who was walking home after a night out, and they attacked the victim from behind, took the victim off the street, held him against their will, and they stole property. It's clear the defendants worked together by purposefully targeting a lone student, and by covering their faces, they thought they could get away with their crimes. However, police inquiries identified the perpetrators involved, and arrests were made. He said, I welcome the custodial sentences, and I hope the defendants now realise the impacts of their cowardly behaviour and their nasty crimes. Ram raiders who smashed their way into a Birmingham jewellery shop have been ordered to repay almost £250,000 or face more jail time. They smashed a stolen Toyota Hilux into the front of Danielle Jewelers in Sparkbrook on March the 3rd, 2022. 3 of the men were armed with a sledgehammer. They went inside, smashed their way into 2 display cabinets and began stashing jewellery in bags. 4th man remained in the Hilux and a 5th man acted as the crowd controller, waving an axe and swearing and screaming at members of the public, West Midlands Police said. Dramatic footage of the raid was caught on the store's CCTV system, whilst mobile phone footage taken by members of the public also captured it. 5 men were found guilty of conspiracy to rob and possessing an offensive weapon following a 4-week trial at Birmingham Crown Court, and they were John Gordley, who's 49, from Selly Oak, Trevor Leake, who's 44, from King Standing, Justin Boylan, who's 51, from Shard End, Arfan Latif, who's 38, from Balsall Heath, and Hassan Zulfikar, who's 26, also of Balsall Heath. They were handed prison sentences totaling 72.5 years. A lengthy investigation was undertaken by the police's economic crime units, including a review of the assets of the gang. And now they must repay £180,000 within 3 months or face another 9 months in prison, and the remaining balance will live with the gang for their lifetime until the full benefit figure is paid back. Financial investigator Andrew Reedman, who led the investigation, said this was a serious offence and had a major impact on the victims and the businesses involved. He said, our role does not stop when offenders are sentenced by the courts, and we will seek to recover the proceeds of crime from offenders, utilising all powers available to us to ensure that crime does not and will not pay. A Brazilian man who chased his boyfriend down a city centre street while swiping at him with 2 knives has been jailed. William De Castro Rodriguez, his partner, was only wearing a pair of sliders on his feet at the time of the incident, stumbling to the ground at one point during the chase, after which the attack continued. It was said to have followed a row between the couple in the early hours and only ended thanks to the intervention of police officers who happened to be passing the scene. Liverpool Crown Court heard that William Da Silva was standing outside the flat where the Brazilian couple was staying at around 7 o'clock in the morning this year. However, CCTV footage then captured Rodriguez emerging from the property wielding 2 kitchen knives. The prosecutor described how the 28-year-old defendant was thereafter seen raising his hand before swiping down towards the victim, narrowly missing him. He thereafter pursued the complainant down the road until he slipped over, aiming a further blow at him with one of the weapons as he lay on the ground. Police officers happened to be passing through the area at the time in a patrol car and arrested Rodriguez, initially believing that he had only been punching the victim. He subsequently claimed to have acted in self-defense when giving a prepared statement. Rodriguez is believed to have no previous convictions, and his defense told the court he instructs that he is previously of good character in Brazil and any other country that he's been to. He said he was here legally at the time of the offence on a tourist visa with a maximum 6-month stay. That has now expired, and tells me that he simply wishes to go back to Brazil and not come back to the UK. So the judge said, basically, you clearly had some disagreement. You left the flat, you took some knives and you started trying to kill him. I'm not having that. So the judge said, listen, pal, I'm jailing you. He jailed him for 10 months.